Coach, and I thank everyone here for coming and setting this all up for us. Senators, it is easy to recognize the environmental advantages of utilizing the alternative and renewable forms of energy, but we also must be aware of the disadvantages. One disadvantage with alternative energy is that it is difficult to generate the quantities of electricity that are as large as those produced by traditional fossil fuel generators. Another disadvantage of alternative energy sources is the reliability of supply. As the previous senator mentioned, alternative energy often relies on the weather for its source of power. Hydro generators need rain to fill dams to supply flowing water. Wind turbines need wind to turn the blades. And solar collectors need clear skies and sunshine to collect heat and make electricity. When these resources are unavailable, so is the capacity to make energy from them. This can be unpredictable and inconsistent. The current cost of alternative energy technology is also far in excess of traditional fossil fuel generators. This is because it is a new technology and as such has an extremely high capital cost. If this isn't enough to convince you that alternative energy isn't a viable source of energy, then this should. Senators, what would happen to the countries and areas that depend on these fossil fuels as their main source of revenue, such as Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and others? We all know that this energy created cannot be transported for long distances, therefore eliminating the option to use this energy that is harnessed by these sources as methods of revenue. A previous senator mentioned that fossil fuels are more dangerous than these alternative sources, as he pointed out that oil spills can seriously damage the environment and sicken the people. But we also have to remember the nuclear disaster at Chernobyl on April 26, 1986. Over 25 years ago, that is still impacting us today. Radioactivity has been found in forests that are over 100 miles away from the incident. There are reports of people still getting various sicknesses and cancers all because of the radioactivity spread as the result of this single nuclear disaster. Comparing this to the BP oil spill just a couple of years ago, we can clearly see that the impacts to the environment and people clearly point to one direction. Alternative energy can impact the environment and the people's health tenfold as much as an oil spill could. Senators, it should be clear enough now to realize that the technology that we have in this present day and the methods that we have to provide this green energy simply aren't good enough to effectively please the demands for energy that we have today. Sure, maybe 20 to 30 years later, we may have the technology and methods to create and harness this alternative energy, but as of now, we simply do not have the capacity to please the modern day demands of the people. Therefore, I urge you, senators, to please vote against the passing of this bill. Thank you.
Hang on.
I'm now open for questions.
Okay, Senator Sathi, mute yourself. Questions for Senator Sathi? Senator,
In your speech, Senator, you stated that if we move on to alternative energies, many countries will be affected, especially the ones that rely on oil exports for their economy. Well, studies have shown that these economies that rely on oil are actually not good in themselves. It's only helping the rulers of those countries. So by stopping this supply of money to them for their energy, will not be hurting the people, but will be hurting their rulers. And in your speech, you stated that Dubai was an example of oil dependency. Actually, the contrary is true. Dubai is an example that shows that countries will move on when oil is no longer a resource. Previously, Dubai was an oil exporter, but in recent years, it has totally shifted to tourism and business, turning itself into only 3% of its economy being oil exportation now.
Senator, you make a very good point, but I also want to point out that a lot of these countries that are oil dependent, for example, Kuwait, or even a lot of African countries, yes, majority of the money does go to the businesses and they go to the hierarchy, but you also have to remember that the people are already in an economic situation in which that they're impoverished, and when you remove their source of income that even feeds them just a little bit every day, you're further impoverishing the people, and eventually you're going to potentially kill these people.
Senator Singh?
You mentioned the countries in Africa that would not benefit by switching to renewable energy. However, once they invest in solar panels, won't they be essentially getting free energy, free money?
Yes, they will be getting energy, but they're not going to be selling any of that energy. They need a source of revenue. They need money. They're not sure they're going to get free power. That's known. But how are they going to get revenue? How are they going to get money? Their main source of income is to supply others with energy.
Wait, they have millions of maybe thousands of square kilometers of just barren desert they're not using anyway. Why can't they put solar panels there and then export that energy to other countries?
That's the thing. You cannot export that energy, and these the energy that is created through these alternative sources cannot be transported over long distances effectively. And as I mentioned in my speech, we currently do not have the technology to do this.
Senator Sathi, the economy's changed. U.S. used to be a manufacturing economy, and now it has moved to a service economy. So the way humanity works, it changes, it evolves. So do you think that the people in in African countries will have to change with the times?
This is undoubtedly true, Senator. These people will have to adapt. But as of modern day, we can still rely on these fossil fuels. We have to realize that this change will happen maybe 30, 40 years later. Right now, we still have the capacity to provide the people with clean and effective fossil fuel energy. And yes, in the near future, we will expect the technology to improve, and therefore we can start implementing alternative energy sources. But as of now, the most effective way and the most clean way of producing energy is fossil fuels.
Thank you, Senator Sathi. Thank you. Clap, 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 please. Okay, that brings us to end of the second group, or the second group of groups. Score sheets, please, for group number 6.
Her name is there. I'm not. I didn't go. I didn't go this time.
Why?
I didn't.
Score sheets, please.
I didn't get
Score
lost in
sheets.
the stairs.
Thank you. And pen also, if you took a pen.
Preparing a different. I was preparing impromptu. There was this tournament that I went to, but there is impromptu, so I didn't.
Is there all scorecards are in?
For this topics.
Anyone feeling good about math? Their math skills?
Me!
Yeah, you failed last time. Need 2 people.
You're dead.
Okay, there are 2 more questions.
Oh, 2 more speeches. Wait, what? 2 more speeches? No, we're done.
Yeah, parents wake up, time to go home, right?
It's like an airplane flight. You get in and then you go yourself.
Okay, so I have the results of the first 2 groups. But the sad part is I do not agree with the results.
That means everyone lost.
Then you can think your own movie.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Group number 4, I somewhat agree with the result for the first place, not the second, third. Group number 5, I agree with the results. And group number 6, I don't know.
Wait, can you just announce the people who already did it? Yeah. So
I
say five.
don't want to build up that excitement. Okay,
We're building up my hunger.
so let's have Hunger Games.
I give you up.
Okay, so in group 5, there were 5 speakers. For group number 5, there were 5 speakers. And I must say that 4 of the 5 performances, in my opinion, were absolutely fantastic. Great performance. All 4 were great, except for maybe G was a little sick, right? Okay. And his sister or brother was. No, he was not sick. Little kid was playing, right? Okay. But the sad thing is, we're going to give only what? How many prizes did I say?
1.
1 out of 5?
No, wait, no. You said 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 6, right? But there were 5, so.
Just give 2.
Give 5.
Okay. The second prize would roll up 63 is Kush Shah. And I would request
Oh, I forgot to. Wait.